We're back.
Yep. Thanks for coming. Welcome back. Off to a great start.
There we go. My gains were like all the way in the toilet. I had to fix that. Hang on. There's better. Okay, cool. We're struggling. I mean, I'm killing Amanda right now. I'm absolutely murdering her. She just cannot handle it. She's so over my bullshit. She cannot take it no more.
Yeah, she earlier she was like, "You want to do 6 o'clock?" I was like, "Sure." It'll be 6:30 for us. It's currently 7. Almost 7.
Yeah.
5 minutes to 7. So, but anyway, welcome to the Neurodivergent podcast. You can finish the intro because you're the one that always does it. So go on.
Yeah, sure. You're listening to the Neurodivergent Convergence podcast. That's my dog, if you can hear it in the background. My name is Nikki, or if you're watching and you can see my little tag, it's Nikito Bonana today, Queen of the Squirrels. And this is Aminder. Say hi, Aminder.
Hi, Minder. And mine says
Or
Mina.
Mina. Which was your name in Spanish class. And what my
No,
boys call you.
it
Auntie
was it
Mina.
was it was it was Carmen in Spanish class, but
Oh,
Mina
that's
is just
right.
a
Where did
nickname.
Mina come from?
It's just a
It's just
nickname that came up. Yeah.
I guess. That's what my boys have always called you, is Auntie
And,
Mina.
and then Nikita is Spanish. I mean, it wasn't your Spanish name, but it was like they're like, Nikita, and then Bonana
Yes.
from the Bonana King.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mhm.
So that's me. Anyway, we are two neurodivergent best friends traveling the neuroverse together. Because we are not. No, almost got it. Because we are living in a neurotypical world and we are not neurotypical girls. We come at you every Thursday with our bullshit. This week will be no exception. I have a long squirrel story to tell you. We have small topic to discuss, which is more of a chatty topic anyway, more of just like an observation that's been made. And then we will hit Jeremy if you want to stick around for Jeremy. I believe we've made some advancements in the storyline. So we always start our show with a little bit of fun. And then we do our topic, and then we have fuckery at the end in the form of an AI assisted story. We used to have completely AI. We have since become assistants to the AI. And I know not everyone is a fan of AI, but we do not claim to own 80 to 95% of the content. So I feel like at least we're being honest about that we're not writing it all. It's not our own intellectual property. So that happens at the end of the show. If you prefer to stick around to hear that stuff, it will be at the end of the show. You can do so then and yeah, and there. Let's get going. I am also starving, so this will be another episode where if you're watching, you'll get to watch me eat. Sorry. If you like that sort of thing, you're welcome.
Yeah,
If you don't,
mukbang.
I'm sorry. But anyway, let's start with the fun. Aminder,
Yes.
what you want?
So I first need an adjective.
Okay. I chose broken.
Oh, poor thing. Noun.
Excalibur. Like the sword. This is all over the place. There's no theme.
Another noun.
Failed relationship.
Okay, another noun.
Fake flowers.
She's doing double whammies. She's putting adjectives with nouns. Another adjective.
Gilded.
Gilded Age. I like that show. Noun.
I skipped it on accident. So I'm going to choose. I don't know. What am I going to choose, Amanda? I'm going to
Look at something in your
panic.
room.
No.
Panic.
Paper
That's
mate
a
pen.
yep.
Panic is a noun?
Yeah. It's like in a panic, I think. I think
Okay,
it
panic.
began now. Panic at the Disco. Uh, Adjective.
Rotten.
Rotten. Verb.
Undulate.
Undulate. Undulate. I feel like I'm missing a letter in there, but that's okay. Plural noun.
Millennials.
Millennials. We're the bane of a lot of people's existence, apparently. Noun.
I will allow you to shorten this, but for my own sanity, I had to write the whole thing out. Starbucks pink drink, but you can shorten it to pink drink.
I'll do Starbucks pink drink. It's shorter than failed relationship. Plural noun.
Blue balls.
Blue balls. Adjective.
Loose.
Loosey goosey. Type of liquid.
Coke Zero.
That's
Because
what
you
I'm
got me
drinking right
started
now.
drinking that.
That's what I'm drinking right now. Occupation.
Exterminator.
Oh, that's dark.
Oh, oops.
No, it would be funny, but it's dark.
Okay.
Noun.
Birthday candle. Of which I will light now as our little. Yeah, if y'all have not figured it out yet, I'm a slight bit, what you might call witchy. And I like to set little intentions. So I light a little candle before we start our episode, and I done forgot to do it. Okay, moving on.
And last one, an adverb.
Begrudgingly.
Grudgingly.
That's what I choose. Allow me
Okay.
to take it.
So we are still in the Pokemon Mad Lib. We don't have that many left. I think we have like 5. This one's called Squirtle So Cute. It says,
Yeah, boy.
"What's blue? What's blue, broken, covered in a hard Excalibur, and probably the cutest failed relationship you've ever seen.
Oh
Squirtle,
my
of course."
God. That's a lot packed into one sentence.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Okay.
Although it's uncommon in the fake flowers, Squirtle are one of the Pokemon many Kanto region trainers start their adventures with, along with Bulbasaur and the Gilded Charmander. Squirtle
Cute.
like to gather in groups near the Panic or on rotten islands. Like many other water-type Pokemon, Squirtle love to undulate Torrent when they are in battle.
Oh
But
my
they also
God.
have other millennials up their sleeves. For example, a Squirtle's shell is a useful Starbucks pink drink. It can pull into it for defense or for blue balls, and its ridges. Blue balls and
Uh-oh.
ridges. Oh no. Oh no.
Oh no.
Sorry, Squirtle. And you're always my favorite starter. I'm sorry. It can pull into it for defense or for blue balls, and its ridges allow Squirtle to be loose underwater.
Oh no. Oh no. Not that.
Oh god. A Squirtle can spray Coke Zero from its mouth with great accuracy. If you don't watch out, you'll get a face full of it. So if you want to be a great Pokemon exterminator, be sure to have a Squirtle in your birthday candle.
Oh
You'll be
no.
you'll be grudgingly glad you did.
Oh my
The end.
God. Oh boy.
That was
Oh
good.
boy. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. 3 left. That's it.
Oh man.
We have to start shopping for a new one. I have this like the mega 50 best Mad Libs of all time thing, but I just feel like the themed ones are fun.
We need to find like an adult one or something. An adult
Yes,
one or just
I agree.
just something else fun.
Okay, I agree. So, Amanda, what are we talking about today? This was your suggestion, so I'm going to let you kick it off. What are we talking about today?
Well, it kind of just randomly came to me the whole since being diagnosed ADHD and working on a diagnosis with autism, like for autism, um, it's the whole being able to recognize signs of it in other people, kind of like gaydar, but for neurodivergency. Um, so before, and I think it's also kind of tied to empathy because before I would be more annoyed by people who just I thought were just weird or being annoying for the sake of being annoying. Um, kind of like the whole like this is not like either coworkers or friends or something. But one example I think I mentioned before is kind of like when Nicholas, when you guys were at my house, he was probably like 3 or 4, and he threw a fit because I would not let him slide down the stairs on his butt. And now I'm like, that's probably like he threw an absolute fit. Like, and the stairs were wet. I wasn't like just saying no just to be a bitch to him, but I was like, the stairs were wet. It just rained. And I was like, no, you don't want to do that. And so I picked him up to try to take him downstairs, and he threw a fit, climbed out of my arms, ran back up the stairs, and then still wanted to go down the stairs on his butt. Which, granted, yes, that's like a toddler thing too, but I think obviously like the autism probably played into it. So, and then my main example for myself was my dad, because my dad is some sort of neurodivergent. He was actually diagnosed bipolar and refuses to take medication. But I know a lot of people that are diagnosed bipolar are actually either ADHD or autistic, especially women. I think a lot of women get diagnosed bipolar when it's usually one or the other.
For sure.
And same with like having depression, anxiety, because like we talked about before, it tends to be a male centric diagnosis, both of
Yeah.
them, for ADHD and autism. So women tend to be diagnosed with literally anything else. Um,
Mm.
so that made me think of my dad. Like my dad has always been very particular. He's not very social. He just like, and he kind of like has a texture thing with me too. Like we have this like similar, like he's more an adventurous eater than I am, but we have similar things, and like we both don't like taking baths because we don't like how sitting in a bathtub. It just like my skin crawls just thinking about taking a bath. Like I've been taking a shower since I was 8.
I know, and I'm so
Eh,
jealous of your bathtub. I would
I know
I would
my
give
bathtub has never been
limbs for
used.
that bathtub.
I know I have I have a pretty big bathroom, and I have a corner garden tub, and I've never used it because I can't fathom like sitting in it and sitting in my own filth water. And then the uh like I feel like if I took a bath, I would have to take a shower first, which kind of defeats the purpose. So the so my dad and I don't like taking baths. He also does he will eat peanuts, same like me, but he won't eat things with peanuts in them, like
Mhm.
brownies, won't eat. So that sort of thing, like we'll eat them separately. That's perfectly fine. So we're similar in that way. My dad gets annoyed pretty easily, um, just with sounds and textures, stuff like that. So pretty sure, and like my dad was born in 1953, so it's the whole. Obviously, they didn't diagnose people with this sort of stuff back then.
Yeah.
But I get my dad. Like I said, my dad's very particular. He was in the army for a few years. It's just, which I know it seems like a random thing, but it's like I feel like a lot of people that are in the army, it's because they like structure.
Mhm.
And he joined on his own volition. Like it was during the Vietnam War, but he wasn't drafted. He
Yeah.
went because he wanted to. So I think it was like the whole structure thing. My dad likes structure, so that's kind of like how the topic came to be. Because I was thinking of my dad. Like my dad is definitely has one or both of
Yeah.
ADHD or autism. So it hasn't like set him back any. Like I don't think he would be any different if he knew. I don't think he would care. Like I don't think he would disregard it. Like say, well, I don't have either of those. But I
Right.
don't think he just wouldn't care one way or the other. It's just more of an
Yeah.
observation than anything.
Yeah, I feel like I've had many similar experiences myself. I feel like I've developed this like almost sixth sense where I can like point things out and in people, and I center on things in people where I'm like, you're doing that because you're some form of neurodivergent. You're
Hmm.
some kind of neurospicy. Like I can just tell. My dad especially as well. So like, oh my god, that was the grossest burp ever. I'm so sorry. I hope nobody heard that. It like I was trying to talk and it like came out while I was trying to talk. That's disgusting. I'm so sorry. This is what we do here. Um, anyway, I've talked with my dad about this before actually. Like I straight up told him, "I got this from you." Like I got this is your fault. Like all of
Mhm.
this is your fault. And he was like, "I know. I'm not kidding. Like 90% of me is my father, I feel like. I feel like there's like a 10% Sherry in there."
Which
And
is
like
which is interesting because the whole, like, nature versus nurture thing, like, you didn't grow up with your
correct.
dad. So, like, you it's all your in your case, it's definitely the nature thing. Like,
Correct.
yeah.
Yeah. My dad and I's relationship, like I'd like to get him on the show at some point. I'm sure he'd love to come and chat. Like I would love to have a little like chat about this, but like him and I have talked. This is just what it is. Our relationship was very different. Our story is very different. And we did not start to form a genuine relationship together until I was grown and I already had kids and was married. Like in my almost 30, I believe, was when we started really having a good relationship. My very late 20s into my very early 30s. So I which I'm still in my early 30s. Sorry, that was the dumbest thing ever. I'm going to be 34 this year. I'm not that fucking old. It's fine. Anyway, my dad and I talk about this stuff because I notice so much of the things I do, the more I spend time with him, he does the same shit. And I'm like, fucking hell, you're patient zero in this situation. Like, you are why I am the way I am and why my children are the way they fucking are. Like, I am, I found patient zero. It's my dad. So, like, I, I don't know. I feel like I've been able to point things out to him and he's like, we've had good conversations about it, which is nice. And I feel like while I don't wanna say I wanna make a habit of going around like, "You're neurodivergent and you're neurodivergent," just I don't feel like I have a license to diagnose people now because I can sort of see traits easier in other people that might possibly be neurodivergent. I do feel like it's almost hard to ignore. Like, I would never just walk up to somebody like, "You're neurodivergent, aren't you? Because you do da 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 da." But I feel like it's really
I have too much
fucking hard to
anxiety to do
ignore.
that. They have to be, like, a close friend or someone I worked
Right.
with, like, for a long time. Because even when, I first started, like, this was before I was diagnosed with ADHD, and I think I've told this story, but my coworker and I, we were sitting at a table at, like, an event, and it was in a church, like, it was in the gymnasium of a church, and there's, like, a lot of people, and it was loud, and I remember telling my coworker this was, about a year ago, I think. I wanna say, like, not last December, but December before, and I remember saying to my coworker, "Yeah, I'm thinking I might be autistic." She's like, "Yeah, I never really wanted to say anything," and she's a really blunt person, like, she will be the
Yeah.
first to admit that she's a blunt person. She goes, "I never wanted to say anything, but I've always kind of felt you were on the spectrum," and I didn't feel offended because it's like, well,
Yeah.
that's what I'm going for. Um,
Yeah.
so but then I had to go through all my mind. I'm like, "Okay, what was I doing that made her think?" Because we never, like, worked like, we kinda worked in the same office for a little bit, but then we worked at different places. I'm like, "Okay." She's like I'm like, "Oh," and so I was like, "What do you okay, like, what" some example. She's like, "Just the way you phrase things, because we normally talk over chat." She's like, "Just the way you phrase things." I'm like, "Okay." And so,
Example,
like
please.
yeah, like I said, it's like I wasn't offended, but then it's also like, okay, now I'm thinking, like, are you maybe on the spectrum that you saw it so easily? Like,
Right.
even when I was telling my mom about it, I was saying, like, and my mom is one of those my mom is strange in the fact that she's a very hard skeptic, but then she also it's a whole bias thing. If it fits her bias, she'll believe it, that sort
Yeah.
of thing. So when I told her what I was like, this is before I got diagnosed, and I told her that I'm thinking I'm this, and I laid out, like, pretty good reasons for it. She was like, "Oh," and we were driving, and she kinda just was like, "Oh, okay," but the whole mother thing of, like, "That's nice, honey." So, like, "Oh, okay, like, oh," like, maybe she didn't really believe me or, like, didn't really
Yeah.
think that I was, but and I've talked about this several times, but it's kinda like might be partly because I grew up with a cousin who was diagnosed with ADHD and
Right. And it just
autism,
presents differently.
and so having him have it, like, well, my daughter doesn't act like that, so obviously she doesn't have it. So
Right.
I think it was more of the she was kind of like placating me to like, oh, okay, but not really believing it. And so I think even when I told her that I got officially diagnosed, she didn't, like I said, didn't really disregard me. She just was like, oh, okay. But
Mhm.
so, like you said, it's the whole like, I would not go up to someone and be like, I know you're autistic. And then I
You
wouldn't
know who
do
you
that.
really
But
are.
it's more of the I know what you are.
Yeah, I
I
know
know
what
how
you are.
you're
Say
thinking.
it.
Say
Say
it.
it, Bella.
Say it, Bella. What am I? Say it out loud. Uh, the
Oh God.
but basically, whenever I see people that I know aren't like, for lack of a better word, out as
Yeah.
having ADHD or autism, it's like I can kind of see. I'm like, I can kind of tell that you
Yeah.
might be. And it's same thing with like watching TV because I think what was I was watching some show, I wish I could remember, I was watching some show, and they don't, like, have the like, don't they haven't written the character as, like, outwardly autistic or anything,
Yeah.
but I'm just like I was watching it with someone, I think I might have been watching with my mom, but, we were watching it, and I just said, "That character is definitely autistic." They wrote
Mhm.
that. It's like what is it? Like, when they call it, like, queer coded, like, they say queer
Yeah.
coded for different,
Autistic coded.
yeah, so I think I feel like that character definitely like it's like the whole Sheldon on Big Bang Theory. Like he's I don't think they ever outwardly said he is, but he
Yeah.
definitely is. Like he definitely they never
Oh, for
like
sure.
outwardly said what was wrong with him. Like they even made it
Yeah.
as a joke. He goes, "No, my mom had me tested. I'm not crazy." It's like, well, obviously you're not obviously, but it just you present so autistic. So I
Yeah.
which isn't bad. I'm not saying like, oh, every character that acts autistic needs to be outwardly said as autistic in every TV show and movie. And that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying it's easier to spot those sort of things. Um, I think now learning more and more about this and just kind of seeing it in myself and
Yeah.
it's the whole like why didn't I realize this sooner about myself as well?
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, all these things that I thought just made me awkward and weird, which I am, but it's also just all these things that there's a reason. And so it also made me like realize I was talking to my coworker that we were both having major burnout this week. I'm just both of us are like, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to work. And then but it's also like, I wish I could call in, like I said earlier, I wish I could call in, like, for executive dysfunction, but it's like, "No, you're just being
Right.
lazy." I'm not really, but so it's the whole, like my whole life, I thought I was just like, "Oh, you're just lazy, you're just not unmotivated, you're just all this, you're just forgetful," and so but recognizing those sort of things in other people is just easier now, I think. Um,
For
so
sure.
so, yep, that's all.
So, yep, that's my story, and I'm
Mhm.
sticking to it.
End of
Um,
speech.
yeah, I feel the same. Like everyone at my job, I'm pretty sure is neurodivergent. Like all of us have sort of discovered our own version of neurospicy. My boss 100% was has what calls it ADD because that's what it was called when she was growing up. Like they were still two different things, ADHD and ADD. But and she'll tell you, like, I also think she might have a touch of autism, and I've told her that because she will correct you if you say ADHD, and I'm like, Amy, it's all the same now. Like, it's all the
Mhm.
same now. I don't but I'm not hyper. Yes, I know. I know that, but, like, it's all the same now. It's all ADHD. There's no
It's an
ADD and ADHD.
umbrella.
It's
It's an
all the same.
umbrella.
It's an umbrella
It
term. Right.
it's how you present. It's like I never was a hyperactive
Correct.
kid, so mine is more of the attention deficit thing more than the hyperactive
Yeah.
thing. So,
Yeah. Which I still think ADHD is just not properly termed anyway, but that's a whole nother episode for a whole nother day. Um, it's not okay, I'm gonna go into it anyway. No, shut up. We'll talk about it later. Um Anyway, my whole workplace, I believe, is some form of neurospicy. We've all sort of talked about it with each other, which is nice because then we don't have to be like, that bitch is got a touch of the tism.
mhm.
And we know that about her, but we can't tell her that. Um, Also, I've made it's become more apparent to me in, like, people's children, like, signs of it in other people's kids, and, like, that's where it gets, like, rocky territory because it's like, you can't just tell somebody their kid might be on the spectrum or might have ADHD, like, you can't just say that shit to some people. Some people would be like, "Oh my god, thank you," but other people would be like, "What the fuck is your problem? Don't tell me about my kid." So, like, I would have welcomed someone mentioning that to me, like, "Have you thought about maybe checking this out for the kid?" But I'm not every person, obviously, but I do feel like I notice it more in other people's kids, and I tend to sort of adjust my I don't wanna say, like, my judgment, but
Like your
that's I feel like
viewpoint.
the best word. Yeah, like, my viewpoint on why certain behaviors might be happening out in public with kids now. Like, I used to just assume that every kid throwing a fit in the store needed an ass whooping, right? Because that's
Mhm.
how I was raised. But the more I understood about my own child and then understanding about myself, like, it's you can't beat a meltdown out of a kid. Like, that's not gonna happen, right? Like, no amount of spanking, no amount of direction, no amount of, scolding or whatever is gonna fix the fact that the kid's having a meltdown he can't control, right? So it's like
And it's like a fine line too, because like, yes, there
right,
are kids that throw fits and scream and are not autistic, and so
right,
it's just a kid being a brat, but it's the
right,
whole being able to tell whether or not they're being a brat, like,
right.
I'm child free, so it's just the whole so I'm more like, yes, I'm more sympathetic than I was before, like, more empathetic than I was before about it, but, like, we I mean, I, like, use wow, words. Like, using like, used to working with the public and, like, at a bookstore when
Mhm.
I have a kid throwing a fit, I'm just like, "Ugh, just raise your kid better." Like, Jesus Christ, because I
Right.
remember, like, I have a story, like, my dad and I don't understand the whole this is just I know this is a tangent, but, like, I don't understand
It's okay.
the whole I'm just got my kids scream and cry in the middle of the store and not do a damn thing about it. So because my dad told me when my mom was, on a trip with a friend overseas, I was, like, 2 or something like that, and he had taken me out to some restaurant, just me and him, and I started throwing a fit because I was 2 years old, and so I started throwing a fit. He took me out of the restaurant and had me cried out, didn't beat me, didn't do anything, like, my dad never hit me, didn't do anything, he just had, like and like I said, obviously, I don't remember this is him telling it to me, but just let me cry it out, um, outside. Whereas some parents, they just let the kid do it in the store. And so I'm just like, I understand like kids can't help it, like sometimes with having meltdowns and everything, but it's also like you can also mitigate it. There's to me it's like a fine line of
Yeah.
like, okay, like the whole iPad kid generation, like that I've seen talked about more and more, like the whole I like basically give a kid an iPad to shut it up. Like they can't go to a
Mhm.
restaurant without having an iPad in their hands and or whatever. And it's like and then you take it away from them and they scream and cry and throw them out there. Like you have to also get like teach them coping mechanisms because
Right.
like I was also never a person that would have meltdowns, so I know I'm not being very empathetic in that point. So it's like, well, you don't understand. I understand. Like I know that. So I don't know. Like I said, it's the whole like I'm not a parent, so I don't understand. I get that. I'm hyper
Right.
aware of that situation. So I know I'm talking out of my ass in that sort of aspect, but now knowing more about what I do, like more about myself, now when I see a kid, like you said, having a meltdown, I don't instantly think, "Fucking brat." I don't instantly
Right.
think that. I'm just like, "Oh, they're probably going through it. Oh, they're overstimulated, or they're overwhelmed, or whatever." But so
And
that's
even non like neurodivergent children, neurotypical kids can get overwhelmed and they're just overwhelmed. Like
yeah, because 'cause
it
they're kids.
it
They don't know
because
how
they're
to
kids.
they don't emotional regu they don't emotionally oh my god, emotionally regulate. Jesus Christ.
Correct.
Mhm.
That's what you're there for as the adult. And I feel like I could do an entire like we should do an entire parenting episode at some point. I know like you said you're child free, but like I have a different perspective on things because I am not child free. I have two childs. And so I child times
Childs,
two.
I have 2 of them.
That's funny. But anyway, we could get into that topic deeply. So I don't want to stray too far off because I feel like we've jumped on several different trains at this point.
Mhm.
Um, but anyway, yes, I feel like there are me learning about myself. I feel like the bottom line point here, if we can pull it all together and wrap it up in a bow, the bottom line point here is I feel like we might have, like you said, like almost like a gaydar, but for
Like
neurodivergent
a
people.
sixth
Like,
sense.
yeah, a sixth sense for it. But like, and I'm sorry if that's like offensive that I said that, but like that's the only thing I can think to compare it to. Um, I feel like it's caused me to have more awareness of maybe why things are happening or why people are behaving a certain way around me, as opposed to had I not learned these things about my children and about myself, maybe I would still have the beliefs I had before. I wouldn't, but definitely would parent differently. Um, I would have much different interactions in the world, I think, if I did not have the understanding I have now, is basically what I'm trying to say. I feel like it creates more of an empathetic viewpoint on humanity in general, right? Um, it's kind of like this thing I heard the other day where it's like, if you, and I've been seeing it a lot, it's like if you design and accommodate for the most accommodations possible, you end up helping everyone around you, right? And you can apply
Mhm.
that to literally everything, like, accessible doorways and things like that. You know what I mean? Like accessible sidewalks and everything like that. Any kind of accommodation you can think of. If you can accommodate to the highest degree possible, right? It helps everyone. You're not hurting anyone by accommodating someone and their needs, right? Someone with high accommodations doesn't hurt someone with no accommodations, right?
Right, it's like the
A lot of
whole people, like, whenever something so, like, say a restaurant presents a new option, I think I remember what was it? I wanna say, like, Cracker Barrel came out with something that was vegan, not necessarily vegan, but almost like a not tofu burger, but basically it was basically just another option of some sort of meat product.
yeah, it was
Uh,
beyond they started offering Beyond Meat on their menu,
yeah,
and
so the
the
amount of
Christians lost their goddamn mind.
absolute boomers that, God forbid, they have a restaurant have more options. They acted like
Right.
their meat products were being completely taken away, like, how go it's like they're not, they're just offering it's like getting mad
It's
when
an
a
option.
like a steakhouse offers salad. Like, well,
Or
how
chicken.
it's like like a steak, yeah, it's like you have chicken on your menu? Well, that means I can't have steak. Like,
Right.
no, you dumb
Like, no
fuck.
one
That
took your
doesn't mean
steak away,
anything.
dumbass.
And
Relax.
so like, another example is I saw this picture of it was like a custom kitchen, and it was made for someone in a
Yes, I
wheelchair.
saw it too. Yes, I saw it
Yeah,
too.
it was made for someone in a wheelchair. The amount of absolute selfish ass people, they're like, "Well, good luck with that." I'm like, "There's nothing wrong with the kitchen that you could like a normal, like, sorry, normal, but you know what I mean. Like like an able-bodied person would not be able to use." It's like
Right.
it's or like the whole or showers that are like the type that you walk in and you can sit down. Nothing's
Right.
preventing you from using it like a regular shower. So,
Correct.
or nothing's preventing you from using that kitchen normally.
But
Like,
you know
yes,
who would be real happy if they had that accommodation?
mhm.
Someone who was an able-bodied person and then suddenly became a disabled bodied
Yeah,
person.
because like, you never know. Because like, even some of the comments are like, "You guys are acting like you will never age or never have something happen to you. Like,
Right.
if you get this kitchen and say you purchase this house, like, after the person that owned it, that had designed it, and you're an able-bodied person, you purchase the house, but you don't necessarily need all the accommodations that are in it. Like, nothing says that that won't happen to you.
Correct.
So or happen to a loved one. Like, what if your, like, parents have to
Right.
Do I have to take care of your parents or your grandparents or like someone like your spouse, someone in your family has to all of a
Or
sudden
your child.
yeah, so it's like it's not the end of the world. Like people act like this is another oh man, we're getting on so many tangents today. But people act like inclusivity like is denying them what they want. It's like the whole marriage equality thing too. I know another
Right.
tangent. Marriage equality thing too, where it's like, well, they can't get married because then my marriage doesn't mean as much. Okay,
No.
you view your marriage so little. That's what you think.
Right.
Like
That you have
other
to
people get
base
uh,
its
yeah,
validity on someone else's right to do the
right.
same thing,
Other
like
people getting the same rights or same accommodations, same like basically anything that you've always enjoyed or always had the privilege of having does not mean that your life got worse. I don't
correct.
understand that. So, like we said, it's the whole like you like you can't and unfortunately you can't build every single building. You can't have every single program of any kind just be 100% accommodated for 100% of the people. Like that's not
Right.
realistic. A lot like small
Right.
business, yes, a small business can make it to where yes, they have a ramp going up to their store, make sure the things are wide, like the aisles are wide enough. Like that's
Yeah.
reasonable, but you can't expect them to have like a chairlift or whatever, or just other accommodations.
Right, but it's just to the degree in which it's possible, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's why I said, like, if you could accommodate to the degree in which it's possible for you to do so, you're helping everyone. So I just feel like, we said all that to basically say, like, having a deeper understanding, and I've said this before, but when you have a deeper understanding of yourself, right, it breeds compassion for the rest of the world, which is why understanding of self, I think, is paramount to humanity. Like, every human should, at some point, be able to have a deep understanding of self. Whether or not they can is not what I'm saying. Like, it would be beneficial and ideal if every human could come to some kind of profound self understanding, because it would grant unmeasurable grace and just understanding to literally the entire planet.
And
That's just how
also
I feel about it.
it's also like the like becoming more empathetic. Um like understanding yourself. It's kind of another example for myself is I used to be, 300 pounds. And so whenever I see someone heavier, I'm not instantly going to be like, ew, gross, fat person. I'm going to be more
Mhm.
empathetic towards that person than, say, someone who, I'm not saying all jocks are like this, but say like a jock who's always been fit, always whatever, like they tend to degrade those people, like act like they're
Right. They see
subhuman.
someone who is over, quote unquote, overweight as lazy or making excuses for themselves, or some, in the worst bit, less than, like,
Hmm.
that's a whole other topic again for another day as well. But, like, I guess all this to say, you were thinking about how you can spot it in people, right?
And it's also,
And
just I had a thought and then I lost it
yeah,
as I started talking. Then I got back. It's also like the whole kind of stereotype of, well, autistic people don't feel empathy. They can't connect with people. No, I
oh,
think
for sure.
once learning about this, like I feel like it has basically just heightened my awareness of the people around me, like not instantly thinking someone's a jerk because they were blunt. So like I said, my coworker who had told me that she thought maybe I might be on the spectrum even before I came on set. She's like, I just never knew how to approach you about it. So it's made me think it's like, okay, maybe she is. And I'm not saying like a tit for tat sort of thing, but it's like she does stuff that I'm like, she's a very blunt person. So I feel like other people, she rubs certain people the wrong way at work, but it's never bothered me because I know where she's coming from. Like, and there's been other coworkers that I've had, same thing. Like coworkers that I know other people did not like, that they're like, "Oh, I never liked her, and she's just so rude." I'm like, "Well, I personally haven't had a problem with her. Like, yes, she's like light rude, like diet rude. to members.
Stealing that. She's diet rude.
Yeah, she's rude light.
I'm stealing that shit. That's amazing because
Yeah.
that's me. I'm
Yeah.
light rude. I'm
Yeah.
diet rude. Oh my god,
Mhm.
I love it.
She's rude light. And
Rude
so, like,
zero. She's
yeah,
rude zero.
yeah, here, not sponsored, but Rude Zero. Um,
Oh my
so,
god, I love it.
but she would be rude light to members, but other people rubbed her the wrong way, like, got rubbed by the wrong way by her
Yeah,
personally, like from with her interactions with them. But and I would tell people outright, it's like I can see why people don't like her,
yeah,
but I personally don't have a problem with her because and it's not because she never was rude to me, but it's because she's blunt and I understand that. And
correct.
so it's the whole like empathetic thing. Like, yes, she could be nicer, but I understand being blunt and not mincing words and just having dry humor. So it's the whole knowing that about yourself. So if you're someone that isn't sarcastic or has dry humor or is blunt, yes, that may come off as rude. And so that's the whole, like you said, the whole being more self aware helps you learn more about other people, seeing that not everything's black and white, not everything's cut and dry, that you can um there's a lot more nuance to it, that not everything is just like, oh, that person said a rude thing, well, they're just a terrible person. No, they could just be like, and I've like not have outbursts, but I've like snapped at people before, and I apologize later because my immense sense of guilt. But it's the whole, if people more understood of like, well, I snapped at you, which, yes, I know that's wrong. I'm not excusing it, but it's more of the reason is it's like I'm overwhelmed, I'm
Yeah,
tired, I just wanted to sleep or something. So it's the whole just being more empathetic just in general just makes the world a better place. Just even even just people's behaviors. Just people's behaviors, people how people act, how you interact with people, just in general.
yeah, for sure. I feel like I don't know. I feel like my brain cells aren't online. Because I feel like there's definitely more we could say about this, but we've jumped on so many trains
Mhm. We got
that
derailed
it
several
we
times.
got derailed several times. So I feel
Amtrak
like
Is in competition with us for how many times we got derailed, so
oh, for sure. So I feel like we should probably wrap it up here. If you can relate to being able to spot this in other people, if learning this about yourself helped you to see things in other people in a way that maybe provided them more grace than you might have otherwise, if you can relate at all, if you can't relate, what the fuck ever, you can talk to us about it in several many places. Everywhere socials are platformed, we are at the NDC podcast. Everywhere socials are platformed. All those links will be in the show notes for you as well. We also have a Discord where it's still just me, Aminder, Ray, and Micah, and that's okay because we're happy to have them. Um, but if you would like to come hang out with us, because we're all pretty cool, you can do that at our Discord, which is also linked in the show notes. And I believe you find us just at the NDC podcast there too. All of our handles are basically the same for everything. If you're listening to this and you'd like to watch the shit show instead, you are welcome to do so over on our YouTube channel, which is also at just the NDC podcast, youtube.com/NDC podcast, also in the show notes. If you would like to be on the show, if you would like to inquire in a long form about something, if you'd like to tell us we're shitty humans in long form, or that you really like us and think we're cool, you may do so by sending us an email to the NDC podcast at gmail.com. We make it real easy for you people to find us, like
mhm.
real easy.
We're
Everything's the same.
we're very, straight-laced with that. Very,
Correct. And you know
just
what? I
consistent.
even did us a solid, Minder. You know what else I
Mhm.
did?
What?
Even though we don't oh, and we have a tweeter, but we don't tweet. It's there, but we don't really use it. But I also did us a solid and I secured us a Twitch channel
Oh.
with that name. Don't know if
Mhm.
we'll ever use it, but I got the name. And then I also secured us a Patreon at that name as well. So when we start our Patreon, whenever we figure out what the fuck's gonna live there, and we start our Patreon, we will be there too. So just be on the lookout for that. Aminder, should we tease the people about what we've been working on
Yes,
in
our
the
upcoming
shadows?
upcoming events.
Yes. Upcoming events. Episode 50 is rapidly approaching us. At the time you're listening to this, you will have exactly 7 weeks. Okay? Before episode 50. Why do you care about episode 50? Because episode 50 is going to be our live. You heard it here, live neurodivergent meme review. We'll be streaming to all the platforms I can stream on. We have to get YouTube to let us be that way because YouTube's weird, dude. Like, I'm having weird issues with YouTube. But anyway, we're going to be streaming live episode 50. We're doing a neurodivergent meme review. So what I need you to do, please. I see all of you listening. I've seen our analytics go through the fucking roof. You guys are listening to the show. If you like this show and you want your meme featured in episode 50, please go to our Facebook page.
We even credit you.
We will credit you. If you don't want to be credited, that's fine. We don't have to credit you, but we will credit you. Go to our Facebook page. Please. There is a pinned post on the Facebook page. Drop your favorite neurodivergent memes on that post in the comments, please. Comment with your favorite meme and leave that there. We need to fill up the meme shelf, okay? So that we can have a very successful neurodivergent meme review. We've had a comment from Beyond 6 Seconds podcast. Thank you, Beyond 6 Seconds. We love you for that. Love when we can work together and help each other out. So that's great. Thank you for your contribution to the meme shelf. Please join in contributing. Tis free. Tis free to contribute. And it gives us content. And we will do just about anything for content at this point. Clearly,
I won't do an
our
OnlyFans
goddamn
though.
brains
So
don't work.
you don't have to secure an OnlyFans. That's fine. You don't have to do
No.
that.
I don't want one of those.
And no one wants to see that anyway. So
Nope. Don't nobody want that. Anyway, am I leaving anything out? Discord, email, socials, meme shelf. Oh, one last teaser. You ready?
yes,
I'm going to drop it, and then we're going to go to Jeremy. Be on the lookout for an upgrade to your little favorite show here. I'm getting real big-headed when I call us their favorite show. We're getting a little bit of a facelift, folks. And I don't mean my own face, although I would really love one of those because we could use some help. The show is going to get a visual facelift. So stay tuned. We are still working on that. And I don't know when that shall appear to you.
when we get the spoons. When we get the spoons for
when
it.
we get the spoons. The show is getting a visual uplift, facelift, update. That was lots of words. We got to stop this. We got to stop this thing. All right. If you're leaving us, we love you. And we will see you next week. If you're not leaving us, it's time for Jeremy and a story from me as to why my fingers taped up and why I was late. We're going to have a story time, and then we're going to have a Jeremy time. So if you want to hear the story about why my finger is currently taped up and why I was fucking late and why my name says Queen of the Squirrels, and then you want to hear Jeremy, join us after Jeremy's intro. Okay? All right. Off we go.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye. Here go Jeremy.
So
We're back.
something I just noticed. Well, because it's probably the first time I've seen it, but because normally Nikki just inserts it after the fact, and I don't see it during when we record. The word "starring" is spelled wrong.
Oh shit! Is it really?
It's spelled "staring."
Ah, shit. I can't spell. That's fine. I'll fix it. We're about to have a husband interruption. He has broken his shoes and needs to retrieve his others. Sorry for the husband interruption. Say hello,
Oh,
husband.
good.
Least you could do if you're going to interrupt our stream is say hello. Or not stream, our episode. They can't see your face.
Hi.
Hi.
You want to be headless? That's fine. He's like, yes, I do want to be headless. Leave me
Your-
out of this.
Your potatoes are done though.
Oh, thank you. Okay, bye. Love you. Okay. Sorry. The poor man has broken his running shoes and he has to go work out. So he needed his other shoes. And now I have to buy him new shoes, which is fine because I just bought like 3 pair of new shoes. Anyway, squirrel. We're back.
Mm-hmm.
We're here. I need to fix my spelling mistake, apparently. Quick story time, and then we shall throw in Jeremy. So first we're gonna talk about my finger. Quickly. I am not professionally licensed to do hair. However, I do work at a place that involves hair things, and I have to work on mannequin heads and make them pretty and cute. So I can't legally charge folks to do anything to them, can't work on humans, but I can work on mannequin heads, right? So I was trying my hand at a haircut technique that I wanted to see if I could follow the tutorial on, because I'm just curious to know if I could. And I fucked around and found out that there is a such thing as shears that are too long for you. And I chose wrong on my shear length and sheared my goddamn finger. So I cut a nice little triangle out the side here of, I don't know if I can properly show my finger here, but it's this side of my finger, okay? And I cut a triangle chunk out of it. So if like these are my shears, right? My fingers like this because I'm holding hair, right? So my shears come down at an angle and snip my finger. So I've cut a triangle into my finger, okay? These are fucking sharp. Let me tell you, these are sharp bitches. Like barely ever been used. So they are sharp as fuck. It didn't really hurt at first, but I knew what I did. And so I hurried up, I wrapped it up, everything, went later to urgent care and got Dermabond put on it. Okay, they said didn't need stitches, but it was deep and should have definitely needed Dermabond. Good to go. That was Sunday. And then yesterday, well, by Monday evening, the Dermabond was starting to come off. And I noticed that pretty quickly and got nervous, but I had to work the next day, which requires me to use my hands quite a bit. So I noticed that my finger, every time I bent it, I could feel the Dermabond splitting. And I'm like, fuck. So come Tuesday night,
I probably
I
would've put
had
it in
no
a splint.
Dermabond.
Yeah,
Do what?
I probably would have put it in a splint.
Yeah. So come Tuesday night, I had no Dermabond left on my finger. And Dermabond is just like a liquid stitch, basically. It's like a liquid bandage, like a second skin they put on instead of doing stitches, if you don't know what that means. So it was gone. It peeled right the fuck off. So I've just bandaged it yesterday. And that was a mistake because I got home, needed to take a shower, and I'm like, you know what? I'll take the band-aid off. I don't want to soak it, get it gross. I don't like a wet band-aid on my hands, right? It just feels fucking gross to me. So I took the band-aid off to shower. Dumb. Shouldn't have done that. I went to go wash my hair and I remember I cut it like this angle, right? So this angle. So when I put my finger in my hair, the hair got under the triangle.
Nope.
And ripped it backwards. So I immediately started gushing blood in the shower, screamed for my husband. And I had just put soap in my fucking hair. Like I literally just went like this with the soap, hadn't even worked it all over the place. And I then went like this with this hand, ripped the fucking finger back, scream for my husband because it's immediately gushing blood. There's blood in my hair. There's blood on my fucking hand. And I'm like, help. Like, I don't know what to do here. And so he comes in with paper towels. We put pressure on it. Well, I look at the time and all of the urgent cares around here close at fucking 8 o'clock. And I am not going to the hospital to sit there for 5 fucking hours and come back with Rona and God knows what the fuck else. Oh, for a fucking finger that's bleeding, right? So I got it to stop bleeding, bandaged it up, whatever. So that's what's happening. That's why I'm taped. I had to, and I'm past the point to have it stitched at this point. Dermabond at this point is also not a good idea because I could be sealing infection in. So I'm just going to wrap it and keep it bandaged with antibiotic ointment. And this is just medical tape to where I can't really bend my finger now. So like I've taped it on purpose so that I can't bend it past this point. So it's not so stiff that it's splinted, but it's stiff enough to where I can't bend it and keep breaking that open. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the finger story. The second story why I was late. Because I squirreled and blacked out in Target on accident.
I thought you got held up at work.
No, I haven't been to Target in a while. I got off work a little bit late, but not really that late, and had to go to Target for some just things I needed anyway. And then I made it to the aisle with all the Funko Pop figures, and that was a mistake.
I just realized that my Funko Pop is on tipped
Yeah.
over. Or Storm. Sorry, Storm.
So I wasn't even really like, I just like to go check it out. Like I wasn't even in the market to purchase anything. I just like to see what they have because sometimes Target gets like exclusives, and I was just curious. I also needed to get something for my husband for Valentine's Day, and he's right now collecting the NECA figures of the Ninja Turtles, but they're monsters. So like one's like the Wolfman and then
Like Mummy and stuff like that.
Mummy and shit like that. Yeah. So he's collecting those. So I was looking to see if they had any different ones. Well, they did. I found Wolfman. So then I start looking at the pop figures, and I'm like, just sort of glancing. A lot of it's like TV shows, like 1883. They had like a Mariah Carey one. They had some other things that I've seen already. And then something catches my eye that I've never seen before. And I'm like, the fuck are you? So I look a little closer. It's goddamn Sheriff from Robin Hood.
Mm-hmm.
The sheriff from fucking Robin Hood.
Which version of Robin Hood? The Men in Tights
The
one?
Disney movie.
Oh, the
Disney
Fox
movie. Yeah.
Now, if
So
anyone, okay, so don't call me a furry, don't shame me, but I thought Robin Hood was like hot as a kid.
yeah,
Like I'm not a furry. I don't do
don't call me
that.
a
But
furry.
it's like,
Don't shame
but
me.
like I don't shame me. But like I think I'm not alone because I saw a post like
Oh,
the
for
other
sure.
day of like everyone is like, is it just me or was Robin Hood
It's the voice.
inexplicably hot? Like
Yes.
it was
It's the
more of an
voice and
attitude
it's the
thing.
attitude.
Voice,
Yes.
it's
The
the
voice and the
attitude. Like
attitude.
it's not because he's a fox, but it's like
It's the character in
feels-
general. Like,
yeah. And so I'm like,
yeah.
don't
Yeah.
come for me. I'm not like that. So
Don't
thank you.
come for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I see the sheriff, and then I'm like, oh shit, here we go. Because that's one of my favorite Disney movies. It's also Jordan's all-time and really only favorite Disney movie, as far as like the animated ones go. So I was like, okay, now I have to look. Are there more? Right. So I'm looking around, and you'd think the first thing you do is flip it over so you can see, oh, there's more in this collection, right? I didn't do that. I didn't even notice that until the end because I just got zeroed in on it. So I proceeded to go through every single pop figure on the shelf, moved them all around, restacked them, checking under and behind every single goddamn thing until I unearthed every fucking one from the collection, one by motherfucking one, ending with Maid Marian. She took me the longest to find because somebody hit her. Where she was, somebody hit her ass. And I was like, I ain't fucking leaving without every one of these some bitches. Okay. I will turn over the earth at this point to find every last one of these goddamn things. And I will leave confidently knowing that I either purchased them all or they physically weren't there to purchase. Right. So I walked out with all 6 of them. The Target.
Oh. Well, I'm glad you found them.
Dumbest It was the dumbest, most unhinged ADHD splurge moment I have ever had.
I just imagine a full-grown woman with children, like, but the children aren't there, just going through the shelf, like, just frantically piling through the, like, I
Oh,
just
no, it
imagine
wasn't
you.
frantic.
I know,
It
like,
was not frantic.
I'm just imagining, like, I
Yeah.
know that's not what you did, but I'm just imagining
Yeah.
someone, like, just throwing everything behind them while, like, it just the pile just grows. The pile of pop figures just grows,
Until they
and, like,
land on it, and it's like,
on your
"Whoa."
knees, like, your head, like, on the bottom, like, through the bottom shelf, your ass in the air, just
Oh, so yeah, I mean, I was very slow and methodical because I was not going to miss
determined.
anything. I was like, I was
You're
determined.
combing through it. Fine-tooth
I was
comb.
combing. Yes, I sure was. I even pissed off a grown man in the aisle with me because he kept like trying to look around me and I was trying to move so that he could see, but then he just got frustrated and walked away. So,
Like, obviously, this girl's unhinged. I'll just leave
yeah,
now.
she's unhinged and she's on a mission. So let's just come back another time.
Never get between a woman and her mission,
Oh,
okay?
oh my god, I left with all 6 of them. I have never so impulsively and so channeled in and dialed in, searched and found and accomplished a mission like that. Like I I walked outside, sat down in my car and I was like, "Fuck, it's like
It's like you blacked out. Like, it's
5:20."
like you walked in,
Yeah,
walked out, and you're like, what?
I
And
walked
you just look at
in
your hand and like, how do I have 6 pop figures?
yeah, I walked in for 4 items and left spending
That's Target for you.
$331.
It's like Hotel California. Once you get in, you just can't leave.
Yeah, I spent $331. I don't know on what. Like, on what, I don't know. I know that I left with those pop figures
At least 60
and a
of them were
trash
pop
can.
figures.
Yeah, and a trash can and, um, a couple other things. Some food. So part of it
So
was food.
what were the 6? The Sheriff, Maid Marian, and Robin Hood. What were the other 3?
Yeah, so I got the sheriff, I got Friar Tuck, Maid Marian, Robin, and Little John, and, King Richard. Or not King Richard, Prince John.
Prince John.
Yes. The only one they didn't make the snake. I'm so irritated. I
Oh,
looked on the back.
Ka.
They didn't make the fucking snake. I'm like, "What the hell?
Oh,
He's
Sir
the
Hiss.
best
No,
one."
Ka's from Jungle Book. Sir Hiss is from Robin Hood.
I know. That's so annoying. I wanted Sir Hiss. But
Or the
anyway,
rooster. The rooster that sings.
yes, and the rooster for sure, for sure. We need to like petition Funko to make those. Or maybe they'll come out in a separate collection. I don't know, that'd be nice. But anyway, so yes, I got all 6 characters. They are currently on my shelf in my dining room. I need to set all of these up. I have so many. And then Jordan, I got some early Valentine's presents. So I'm obsessed with Maleficent and Aurora, you know this. So like Sleeping Beauty movie. So he bought me Aurora and the castle, like her castle in a Funko. Then he bought me Maleficent on her throne and a Hot Topic exclusive that he was able to find of a Maleficent in the fire,
Mhm.
and she's in it, the fire glows.
Like when she comes, like, leaves the birthday party or whatever.
Yes. Yes. And I have a couple of other Maleficents too that I got for Christmas and one that I purchased a few. So I'm collecting like all the ones that I can find of her 'cause she's my favorite. So like I'm collecting all of them. But yeah, anyway, I went a little crazy on Funko and blacked out in Target. So that's why I was late. And I had to get home. The finger was important because it also plays into this. So I had to get home. I had to take a shower because I had to get the band-aid off my finger. I had to then like take my shower. Then I had to get myself together. Then I had to redress my finger because I can't leave it open. So that took an extra like 10 minutes to do. So that's why I was late. But anyway, story time over for my life. Let's talk about Jeremy.
Now
Want to
it's
talk about Jeremy?
Jeremy's turn. Story time. Story time.
Yeah, Jeremy story time.
So previously on this, so Sympathy
Previously on the
going a
Chronicles of
little,
Jeremy.
yeah, Sympathy going a little insane. Was chasing Binky and Finnegan and Jeremy, and then they had to run into a cave. And Velvet. Um, I don't think I mentioned Velvet in my story because I forgot to include it in like the prompt. So Velvet is
That's fine.
just imagine Velvet being there. She's just not mentioned. Um, so uh, so a tree, like a lightning struck a tree and like put the tree fell between them and they were able to run into a cave. So that's where we ended up.
Mhm.
Okay. So the prompt. Oh, I don't know if you're on there. Can you see what animals I am?
I didn't click on them because I
No,
was too
it's okay.
distracted by my
It's
story.
okay.
Hold on.
We won't have that today.
No, it's fine. I click in 2 seconds and be in. But, we'll just do your animals when you're done. Go ahead
Sure.
and read, and then we'll just
Okay.
do your animals when you're done.
Okay. So the prompt was fleeing into the cave from Sympathy the Unicorn, the group began to formulate a plan to help their friend. There was no way she would actually turn on them, right? Jeremy the Psychic Cat suggested that there had to be dark magic involved. Binky the Hardy and Finnegan the Fainting Goat were in agreement. Pulling together the magical knowledge, they came up with a spell to break Sympathy out of her trance. Leaving the safety of the cave, the heroes cautiously approached her to cast their spell to save their friend. This is where it starts. The air seemed to grow colder, and as the heroes watched, Sympathy the Unicorn began to turn into Sympathy the Witch. When she was fully transformed, Jeremy the Psychic Cat began to laugh maniacally. You know, if she kills us, she gets to be my slave. There was no more hiding the truth. Sympathy the Unicorn was a witch. Dashing forward, the heroes defended themselves from Sympathy the Witch's many spells and tried to lure her away. But they were quickly overwhelmed by the sheer power of the witch, whose power seemed to grow more and more with every attack. Binky the Hardy and Finnegan the Fainting Goat succumbed and were blown back into the cave. With the last of his remaining magical energy, Jeremy shielded himself from the witch's onslaught. By some act of God, this worked. As Sympathy the Witch's power finally overcame them, Finnegan and Binky managed to come back from being dazed, and the heroes were able to cast their own spell. The enormous magical wall of cold seared through Sympathy's defenses, and she stumbled back. Shaking her head, she looked towards her companions. They could see her eyes flickering, seemingly losing their wild, glassy appearance. What? I can't. She's inside me. I don't know if I can defeat her. Her mind was slowly being overtaken. Just hold on, Sympathy, Binky comforted her. We're going to help you. His soothing voice seemed to calm her further. It was at that moment that Sympathy the Unicorn's mind snapped free. It became clear to the heroes that the mystical madness they had helped bring to bear was finally breaking free. Jeremy's spell had worked. For the first time in days, they could actually see Sympathy the Unicorn's eyes as she stared at them in confusion. She began to laugh, with tears in her eyes. With relief, the group joined in her laughter, amazed at what just had transpired. The laughter was very brief, however, as the laughter turned to screams. The spirit that had taken over Sympathy suddenly materialized before the group, who instantly recognized her as the dark sorceress Morgana. Enraged at being forced out of her host, she began casting a number of harsh spells upon the heroes. Before they could react, a brilliant light grew from beneath them, and Sympathy looked to her companions and started to speak, but there was no more time. The ground began to crack, giving way to an earthquake. Bolstered with newfound resolve, the group managed to come together in the chaos. They knew they had to finish this, but Morgana did not back down easily. The party felt itself being forced further into the cave. Then suddenly, the earth collapsed beneath them, sending them plunging down a pit of swirling lava and death. Before they could fall into their
I'm
demise,
sorry. I'm sorry. I have to stop you.
What?
I'm sorry.
They're so serious.
I'm trying. I'm trying to eat while you're like
Yeah.
doing this so that because you're talking, so it's perfect time. But I was muted, and the swirling pit of lava and death. I was like, I would scream, and I had food in my mouth, and I almost choked. Oh my god! What? Why? This was like, why death? I don't understand.
Well, I mean, I think a pit of lava would be death.
I mean, true, but like that's just I don't know. This is just taking a weird turn. Anyway, continue. I'm sorry. I was just shocked. That's all.
Okay.
Go for it.
Um. Then suddenly, the earth collapsed beneath them, sending them plunging down a pit of swirling lava and death. Before they could fall into their demise, the overabundance of magical energy had thinned the veil between worlds. All of a sudden, stepping out of a portal was Finnegan's adopted grandfather, Penumbra. His strange golden armor glinted in the light from the lava flowing in the pit. He was an elemental of air, but his powerful, arcane magic could also use the earth and water to good effect. He's basically 3/4 of an avatar. Thinking fast, he managed to halt the hero's descent just inches above the lava. Morgana, not expecting the newcomer, paused briefly, but then began her assault anew with determined fervor. Throwing everything she had at Penumbra, his shield absorbed the worst of the elemental magic, but he was still losing the battle. Penumbra, help us! Finnegan screamed. While his grandfather had stopped their fall, they were still floating right above the pit of lava. Giving them his full attention, the veteran of the battle grabbed his shield and slammed it into the lava. A blazing arc of fire propelled them upwards, breaking the surface and allowing them to escape the hellish pit of death they were just seconds from joining. Finnegan and Penumbra shared an uneasy moment as they were about to resume the battle, but this time with the real chance of victory. Penumbra was the most powerful elemental mage of the world, second only to the old mage Merlin. It was something that Finnegan never quite had, but he knew that he needed to do everything he could to win. As the heroes were rescued, Penumbra breathed a sigh of relief and rushed over to the group, embracing them. With everyone reunited, they all turned back towards Morgana, ready to end this once and for all. To be continued.
Ooh, that was good. That
Like I
was
said,
real good.
I told Nikki earlier, I'm like, 50% of this was me, 50% was the AI. Like, I would hit generate multiple times and then delete it. Like, it kept wanting to make sympathy more and more evil. I don't know what it is
Yeah.
with the AI hating on sympathy, but it kept wanting to, like, even though I kept writing it as if sympathy was no longer ensorcelled, was no longer under a spell, they kept wanting to act like she was. I'm like, stop! She's not under a spell
Lord.
anymore. So I wrote probably it's probably 50% was me. I wrote like whole paragraphs just to get it to stop fucking around before it
Yeah.
found out, you know? Okay.
Fucking around. We're gonna have another husband interruption. My child needs pants.
Okay.
And apparently there are none in his room. So come on, you can come in. It's fine. Get the child the pants. Cannot be pantsless. I think the orange ones are his. Right on top there. What shirt is he wearing?
Oh, no.
We can change that tomorrow. It's fine. Just give him the pants. He can't look like nobody loves him. He's got to go to school looking half-ass matched. Okay. Okay, love you. Bye. Poor kid. But anyway, that was good. I'm loving it. I think I am going to not use AI for the next couple episodes and just see what I can come up with on my own. If you want to continue to prompt yourself with AI, that is totally fine. I have no discrimination whatsoever, but I'm feeling inspired. So I think I'm gonna write my versions of this and sort of piggyback off what you get and just go from there. But we will continue. I know there's like we need to probably just think about it and do an episode on it, but there is a big, huge kerfuffle in the world of artistry and creatives about AI, which fully understandable. Fully understandable. But I feel
it's also like we're not, like you said earlier, we're not presenting this as our own work. Like we're telling you that like I said, 50% of it was AI. I'm not selling the work. I'm not.
right.
If I was publishing a book with stuff I made from an AI, yes, that would be wrong. But
Right.
like I said, I'm fully admitting. And I told Nikki in a message earlier. I said, well, I'll probably still use it because I need a base. Like it's hard for me to start from scratch. Like I know we have like
For sure.
43 episodes of AI to go off of, but like 43 episodes of story, but it's like it's hard for me to just start from scratch. Like I want it to give me some sort of guidance so that way I can just delete it as I see fit. But yep,
for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, we will always be honest about what's ours and what's AI. So that's at least our promise there is we will always tell you if it's not ours. So there's that. Anyway, I have a puppy. You want to see the puppy? Give me, baby.
yeah.
Come on, pupper's interruption. We always
Hi,
love the puppy
baby.
interruption.
Hi,
Ellie.
Ella.
Say hi, Ellie. Say hi,
Hi,
Aunt Tamina.
Ellie.
Say hi, Aunt Tamina.
Hi,
Oh, it's a baby.
baby.
It's a baby. It's my
Hi.
baby. Oh, I love her. I love her so much. You want my chimkin, huh? You just want my chimkin. You can't have my chimkin. You're allergic to that. Go on.
She's allergic to
Mommy's
chicken.
almost done.
That's terrible.
Yes, she is. She's very allergic to chicken. Huh. Yeah, I'm
That's
very
my
allergic.
dog's favorite meat.
I know. Poor baby. Huh. She can't have no chimkin. They're not nice. I know. They'll peach you off, huh? I bought her favorite bones today. We've been out forever and it just like ADHD left my brain. to keep
So
to
that means you got
repurchase them.
Target.
Yeah, I got 2 bags of those at Target. They're fucking expensive. Jesus Christ. But she only eats 1 a day, so that's not a big deal. I wish they made them. She likes the blueberry ones. They're the dental bones, but because she's a large dog, we have to buy the large ones, right? And they're the most expensive and you get the least amount in that bag. So, okay. Bye, Ellie. She just let herself out. But anyway, I think that's all we got today. Yeah? That's it?
Mhm.
We're done? That's it? Oh,
That's
you're
all,
back?
folks.
Oh. That's all, folks. No singing today, but I do have to pee. So probably just gonna be an abrupt ending. Okay, because I have to pee. We love you. We will see you next week with more Jeremy. Do stick around. Go check out the Facebook page. Maybe the Discord if you want to see our facelift things first. Because I feel like if you want to know what things are going to look like around here going forward, you should probably be on our Discord because our Discord people get the earliest access to everything.
Mhm.
So go do that. Okay. We love you.
Okay.
And we'll see you
Bye.
next week. Okay, bye. Come on, mouse. Wake up. Gotta do the outro now. Here we go.